There was once a young girl named Emily. Emily was a 16-year-old girl living with her mother in a modest house in the suburbs since the tragic passing of her father. Emily had relied on her mother for everything. Their bond was strong, and they shared a deep affection for one another. One morning over breakfast, Emily's mother informed her of an upcoming business trip. She mentioned she would return very late that evening, with a kiss on her forehead and a grab of her briefcase. She departed, leaving Emily alone in the house. The day passed uneventfully. Emily returned from school, completed her homework, and watched television. As midnight approached, her mother had still not come back, so she decided to go to bed. That night, Emily was haunted by a peculiar dream. She found herself standing at the edge of a bustling motorway, with cars and lorries hurtling past at a dizzying speed. Across the motorway, she spotted a familiar figure. It was her mother. Her hands were cupped around her mouth as she shouted something to Emily, but the words were lost in the cacophony of the traffic. Desperately trying to understand, she strained to hear her voice. Her eyes, filled with sorrow, seemed to be pleading with her. She could just about make out the words, "Don't, open door." Suddenly, Emily was jolted awake by a strange tapping sound. Then, the doorbell began to ring downstairs. She scrambled out of bed, slipped on her slippers, and, still in her nightgown, hurried down the stairs to the front door. Peering through the peephole, she saw her mother's face staring back at her. The doorbell rang incessantly. "Okay, hold on, I'm coming," she called out. As she reached to unbolt the door, she hesitated. Something about her mother's expression seemed off. Her eyes were wide with terror. She slid the deadbolt back into place. "Mom!" she shouted through the door. "Did you forget your keys?" There is no response. Emily shouted again. "Mom, answer me!" Her mother kept ringing the doorbell without saying anything. "Mom, please, I need you to answer me." There is no response. "Is there someone else out there with you? Why won't you answer me?" There is no response. "I'm not opening the door until you say something." The doorbell continued to ring relentlessly, but her mother remained silent. Emily, filled with dread, spent the rest of the night cowering in a corner of the hallway, listening to the incessant ringing. Eventually, exhaustion overcame her, and she fell into a restless sleep. At dawn, she awoke to an eerie silence. She cautiously approached the door and looked through the peephole once more. Her mother was still there, staring at her. Summoning her courage, she opened the door, only to be met with a sight that filled her with unimaginable horror. Her mother's severed head hung from a nail above the door. A note was attached to the doorbell, written in crude, scrawled handwriting. It read, "Clever girl.